ZETA Division and XORATIGERSGAMING Japan region versus the Korean region.
Yeah, this is for top 4, a spot there, and of course, the loser will be headed home. We have Tomato covering for their version 2 player, taking some of these early buffs away, but they're actually going to be splitting it up. Kokata on that Squirtle, going to take the blue, or the red buff rather, move into the top path. Squirtle with a red buff applies slowing effects with their boosted auto attacks, water gun, and of course the red buff itself. A lot of slowing going into that matchup.
I actually love this buff mirror matchup happening in the top lane, right? We've got a support going up against the defender, but having access to this buff, you can definitely tell they want to try and get that KO on each other if possible. But the central laners have headed towards that bottom lane, and it looks like our first KO is going to be on that Sobble. So for ZETA Division, a great start in this bottom lane because you've gotten rid of the attacker and you've also got rid of the combustion. So 2-in-1, looking for that third if they can. Tomato is going to be okay. Actually going to be setting up and ward. Micro down, they just can't get Tomato.
Wow, I mean, almost getting ward as well. Bidopo looking to try to take out that Eevee before they get to that evolution. I believe Focus Band still available, makes that KO a whole lot tougher. But great setup. I mean, Tomato has understood these defenders so well. We talked about how they've been a dominant force on Treven for so long. Lapras in some games, been a minute since then. But even this Swinub, Piloswine, Mamoswine, whatever stage they're at, they know the ins and outs, how to dominate the laning phase.
Alright, so Jongi is that Gyarados, but he's not looking too happy here with 3 Pokemon on his tail and actually sent straight back to that Pokemon Center. If there's one thing XORATIGERS love to do, they love to power Jong up. Earlier this year during the Asia Champions League, one of the major strategies that XORATIGERS love to do is to give Jong that really early game start. Back then he was playing that Buzzball, so if you let him just go completely ham in the top lane, he can take over. But as this Gyarados, there's only so much he can do with the rest of his team, really in just an awkward position. And with how aggressively ZETA Division are playing this, it doesn't seem like they're finding any openings to capitalize on any mistakes.
Yeah, it's been tough with ZETA Division putting up a fantastic defense, and yeah, I don't think they're very well known for their mistakes at this point. John going to take some early damage, and if anything, there's a bright spot for XORATIGERSGAMING is that they're keeping a pace with Kokata on the other side of that top path. It can get really out of hand if that Gyarados starts getting out leveled, but they got a 1v3 to take care of. On the bottom side of the map, though, things are looking quite good. Suvine setting up some of these snipe shots is out leveling Rom, but Espeon doesn't really need that level scaling as much as other attackers.
They have rotated into that top lane because the Gyarados, unfortunately, was taken out. Just so much offense happening in that top lane for ZETA Division because they want to completely control it. Break the goal zone, go straight for these objectives. If they can deny XORATIGERS all of the objectives, they're going to starve them out, they're going to fall behind in those levels, and then that's where you're going to have to be questioning if you're XORATIGERS, what's your plan B? Because the overall composition for this team is really team fight.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, taking out XORATIGERSGAMING that early fight makes things a little mixy. However, Registeel is taken out by the Blaze Skin, so they get at least one of these objectives. Regieleki right in front of this tier number 2. The Blaze Skin taking out the Piloswine at the bottom. Cathless Kokata getting involved into taking out the Umbreon. That is a huge KO for Bidopo to find that Gyarados for a second time, and this is a ton of points into this tier 2. We'll most likely be seeing a gold zone break rather soon, but we need those attack weight stacks on the urgent move first.
Love that Ward just swiped away the points just in case the topper was
great
thinking.
call, honestly. I like
have
that.
to.
Yeah,
you have to deny those points. But XORATIGERS, they really want to try and find something, but just the fact that ZETA Division, they are grouping up and staying together. You are not going to find this team separated. The only one alone is Tomato, but you know, Tomato, he's just a diversion. He's just doing his own thing. Yeah, he goes down, but it's just a Piloswine.
Exactly. I mean, giving up very little comeback experience in a moment like that. Bidopo is caught in a mean look at the moment. However, they're able to outlast it thanks to that Blissey healing. And showing up for the next fight. First Rapid Strike is used. Blaziken trying to tee up for a moment, but nobody within range, as well as Jong's Gyarados move, finds nothing, and Rom was able to take that knockout. Kokata does take a pretty big slam shot, but Wajiro in that late hitbox will take a bit of damage, but positioned there to block the damage from the Blastoise. Great maneuvering from the support player.
So disciplined on the side of Zeta. They could have tried to break that into a fight, but they just decided, guys, we're going to play it safe. Can't give him any opportunities. We cannot make those mistakes. So just to go for the reset, grab the wild Pokemon again, reset your buffs, get ready for this next objective because it's going to be that top Reggie Alecki. Now these snipe shots, this can start to add up for ZORATIGERS if Sabine can continue to land them. Because that big chunk of damage, if you drop someone low enough, that is absolutely an opportunity for somebody to get jumped.
Exactly. That's going to be Chong and, of course, the Blaze kid out of Mule's job. You want to jump on those low HP targets and take full advantage of the early poke that Subine's able to put together. But so far, not really finding much. That will be Blaze kid pulling back 2 targets. Eldegoss Unite move used extremely preemptively, trying to get a bit of healing. Tomato does have their own Unite move. Espeon picks up 3 in the air, and it's Rom getting to work. Vidopo into the backline. They have found Subine in that tall grass, but they're going to have to chase them down all the way. Zhong learns what's going on in this fight and just going to recall back to base as well as Ward, and Zeta Division will win yet another team fight.
Of all the people to initiate that fight, it was Rom on the Espeon, jumps forward, Psychic Solaire locks everyone in place, just opening them up for those knockouts. Now hang on a minute, has Zeta Division gone a little bit too far here? Maybe not, they're still getting knockouts here. The freeze onto the mid attack animation there for Zhong. They will get Tomato, but again, remember, this is just a defender. He's just level 10. He's not giving those levels away. Rom, in the meantime, he's a level 12 Espeon, so you kind of don't want to be losing your attacker here. Maybe Zeta Division stuck around for a bit too long in that central area.
Maybe. I mean, they got an extra KO out of the Blaze kid as well in that scenario, so I think that trade, honestly, worth it at that point, in my opinion. But the big source of experience for ZORATIGERS Gaming will be found in that Registeel. Team-wide shield, not to mention the attack buff they are going to have. It does last 90 seconds, so it'll last for the first few moments of the Rayquaza fight as soon as it spawns in. They'll have to try to contend with that extra damage and see if they can make any kind of movements happen, but so far, Zeta Division has been unrelenting.
I cannot stress as well the fact that you have this buff. This is possibly going to discourage Zeta Division from wanting to fight, because if you fight into that damage buff, look how much damage Tomato are taking just from those snipe shots. They're going to keep going. The goal zone is broken. They have managed to catch out that Blastoise, but Topo, though, really thinking, does he want to go in there? They do get the pullback, but it's just an Umbreon. Tomato drops down again. Still 45 seconds on that attack buff. Zeta Division, they need to calm down.
Yeah,
they need to calm down.
Now they got 2 knockouts out of it, and it's a decent amount of experience. The problem is the goal zone defense is going to be incredible from Zeta Division. You're investing in this double defender composition for a reason, and it applies a lot of crowd control, but it's also so difficult to get those KOs in a very quick amount of time when you're trying to score these goal zones. Well, that push will result in ZORATIGERS Gaming having the superior positioning for this Rayquaza fight, and they're going to push in a little bit early.
Interesting decision, because they don't have Sabine. Sabine is actually back in their central area trying to finish up getting that experience and those points. Now with 50 points, 5 seconds left on this attack buff before it expires, and Zeta Division, I'm pretty sure they're keeping tabs on this. Once that's down, it's an opportunity for them to jump.
All right, Tomato was trapped in the mean look and took a snipe shot, but the Unite move brings them back to about half HP. We have the Dragon Current chasing down the target, but Hindrance resistant Spinstoise will not be knocked mid-air. Bounce does chase down a couple of targets. Strong's in the back line, but they're locked up by this Mamoswine and Espeon. Make that even longer. Psychic Solaire trapping them for forever, but Zhong is able to dive away, and it's the Elyon to start off. Subine finding the KO onto the Blastoise.
Oh, this Umbreon not looking too healthy. Forced to use the Unite as well. Rayquaza down to half health as well. We need to get that secure. Sabine's charging Espeon! Rom on this Espeon! Secures the Rayquaza, and 3 teammates on ZORATIGERS instantly knocked out in that battle. Zeta Division, I don't know how they do it. They are so good at securing these objectives.
They made the perfect play calls in those final moments. Blaziken, realistically, the only secure threat that they really had to deal with. And as soon as you see Rayquaza gone, you take a look on the left side of your screen, it's a 14-second respawn timer. So they isolate that Pokemon first, even mid-overheat, and find that KO. With 42 seconds left and a scoreline of 700, this is Zeta Division starting off our series 1-0.
Starting off 1-0, looking fantastic, and basically setting themselves up one more game. That's all it takes for Zeta Division to continue on in the tournament. Get one more game in. If they mess up the next one, they still have another game to go. But for ZORATIGERS, You've got to now start thinking about game number 2. What needs to be banned? What needs to be changed? What has to be fixed? And again, like we've mentioned this earlier today, ZETA Division is not a one-dimensional team. It's not a case of banning one Pokemon, banning for a particular strat. You need to do multiple things to slowly and methodically shut them down.
You know what's interesting about that too is I feel like that is a thing that we could credit this team with earlier on in the season. I feel like we could kind of look at their play style, you see objectively how they focus around these big moments in the game, and that is a very clear cut between XORATIGERSGAMING and ZETA Division.
Alrighty, so having a look at these lanes, nothing out of the ordinary it looks like, just pretty standard across the board. Again, lane priority. I want to know what the lane priority is here for XORATIGERS, and are they going to be playing reactionary, or are they the ones that are going to try and make these moves happen first?
Well, they certainly weren't in the previous game, so you gotta hope for XORATIGERSGAMING they'll have a momentum response as well. I was curious if Tomato was going to take the swing up into the enemy central area to start things off, but they are just going to remain in lane as long as they can to try to get that Espeon evolution. Jong at about halfway through their effort gauge on this Magikarp and almost to level 4. Mokata is dealing a heck of a lot of damage back the other way as that Umbreon Blissey 2-0 in the top half. Extremely bulky already.
Yeah, this bottom lane is a nightmare for XORATIGERS, unfortunately. You might have a Sobble that is really good at secure, but there is so much catch potential in that bottom lane. Although, if this Urshifu comes in, maybe Mule can turn things around, but a couple of hits with that stored power. Yeah, Mule doesn't look too happy down there, but he's going to do his best. Jong, though, still hanging on as that Magikarp should be able to evolve. Thankfully, has not been knocked out as of yet. Just needs a little bit more time. But with 3 Pokemon in that top lane, we'll have to play a little further back, maybe even go back into that central area just to get that final bit of experience, but for Toppo.
Yeah, that's the fun thing about playing ZETA Division. If you go back to your central area, it's actually not safe anymore because ZETA Division will always be close at your heels. That's a Gossifleur being knocked out. Binopo already at level 6 on this Dragonair, and able to take out the support player of XORATIGERSGAMING. A good early push by ZETA Division. This team's motto seems to be early and often with this strategy.
Yeah, I think it's still early and often they're doing a great job denying experience, really. I think all 3 lanes have been slowed down on the side of XORATIGERS. Down bottom, they're still looking at a Drizzile. Jong is just evolved on that Gyarados, so this is not an early evolution at all. And even though they've had Mule running around on this Urshifu, he hasn't had that same level of success that we've had ZETA Division have with the Urshifu picks. And I kind of wonder, is it just the choice of Pokemon that they've decided to go for? They haven't got anyone that can really easily assist for a potential knockout.
Yeah, at least not until they have Snipe Shot, right? That is going to be both your closer and your initiator if used optimally. But Mule still, even with a Swinub and an Espeon in front of them, they're not able to chase that KO. Instead of playing a little more reserved, fighting around the bird. XORATIGERSGAMING going to take most of that experience, but Tomato will take a little bit, giving them their evolution into Pile Swing.
This is an interesting move. 4 Pokemon in that bottom lane up against just 2 so far, just the Piloswine and the Espeon. And the fact that they're not getting knocked out, this is a big win because up top it's free experience for ZETA Division. The down bottom though, this Registeel who gets a secure Rob! Again, this Espeon just swiping away these objectives.
Yeah, Ward not able to get Rom in that Woodhammer. They were trying to pull them out of the tall grass by doing so. Only grabbed 1 target, and unfortunately the wrong one. So, ZETA Division undisturbed in their secure attempts, and they're going to pick up yet another objective in this game. How many times can I say that on cast? Yep.
They've secured both objectives. They didn't even need Vitopo there. Vitopo soloed the Regieleki all by himself. And so XORATIGERS now back to square one, trying to figure out, how am I going to get those levels on my teammates? How are we going to get some knockouts? How are we going to score? Because they've only scored 33 points. They have struggled to even reach the goal zone.
I was going to say, how are we going to get a single knockout in this game? I'm not even confident that XORATIGERSGAMING has been able to put that together at this point. But when you're playing up against a team like ZETA Division, that you have to just play to every one of your outs. It's never going to be an easy task. And currently, the Gyarados looking for a target, but Kokada taken care of well by Wajiro. That Blissey Umbreon duo, I can't really think of a more tanky duo in Unite right now. What a powerful duo that is playing around this top side.
Yeah, I just don't see them getting knocked out at all. They're just, you also have the Bliss assistance that can potentially come in. So you think you have the Umbreon, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, there's a shielding, extra damage. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to bail. Oh, ZORATIGERS playing so defensively, so reactively. Does it just...
Reactively reserved as well as another word I would use for it right now. ZORATIGERSGAMING play an extremely safe game. Now, the benefit of that is it has been rather challenging to score on these tier 2s, something that ZETA Division likes to do a lot of the time. So, ZORATIGERSGAMING may have had a rough early game, taken a lot of points into their goal zones. However, if you can shore up your defenses, you can enable a moment in the late game team fight where a comeback can definitely happen. So, now the time to batten down the hatches, but eventually, you need to turn on the offense.
Go turn on the offense onto the Red Giants here. So unfortunately, no defense or attack buffs. This would have been so crucial for the ZORATIGERS to maybe feel a little bit more confident trying to fight into ZETA Division. They're all going to launch themselves into that top lane, though, ready to defend against that Regieleki. They can't quite catch anything with the Woodhammer, unfortunately, and even a preemptive Unite being used by Sabine. So really just to zone ZETA Division away. They don't get any KOs. They don't latch onto anybody. It was just to stop the Eleki.
Yeah, and ZETA Division never done with a simple Unite move bait either. They rotate through the enemy central area, and that's a blue buff taken away onto their side now. Mule also not safe, as Kokada's going to get a ton of snarl damage into that Pokemon and stun them for a moment, and this pressure from ZETA Division cannot be understated. And at this point of the map, the 2/3 of the map are within their control at any given time, thanks to this Umbreon and the Mamoswine constantly roaming up and down the center of this area.
Looks like they have found Tomato, but unfortunately the Horn Leech just not going to connect. They have found the Umbreon instead, though. Blissey is there, has used the Eggs, Bliss Assist as well, and they're forced to use the Dragon Current on the Gyarados, catching 4 people with the Dragon Current, but do they have the follow-through? Kokoda coming in with the foul play, connecting onto 2. Is this where they time to shine? The Dragonite is down. 4 Pokemon caught. ZORATIGERS. Is this the time we see them come back?
Yeah, John, with a great initiation on Gyarados. I mean, that's one of the biggest Dragon Currents we have seen all tournament long. Not only that, avoiding getting KO'd themselves with a few auto attacks in here and there to get that lifesteal that Gyarados has with those boost hits. Absolutely fantastic. Move them around in these team fights, and when you're playing at a nice edge against ZETA Division, you gotta make clutch plays in those moments. Great call-up by ZORATIGERSGAMING.
And more importantly, the levels are now in favor of ZORATIGERS. They're sitting on 3 cores that are above level 12. They've passed the levels of ZETA Division, so now all of a sudden, you're going to be feeling much stronger, much more confident. And also these resources help you get ready for that Rayquaza because you're going to get your plus skills.
Exactly. Yeah, you're starting to get into those big plus moves that can really be game-changing for a few Pokemon in particular. The Registeel going in the favor of ZORATIGERSGAMING as well. So yet another attack buff to work with. Feeling quite confident about these final moments, or at least the Reggie will help in that regard. But ZETA Division have taken the early defensive positioning. Umbreon and Mamoswine, they've been doing this all game long. Why stop now?
Gotta keep it up. You know, if you've been confident doing this in the early game, why not keep going? Their execution as a team is relatively unmatched. So if there's a team that can make a comeback happen at a level deficit, it is ZETA Division. But who makes the move first?
Yeah, Chong is only at level 12, right? Despite a big push earlier, they still were able to catch up as much as maybe they would have liked. They finally get to that level 13, and Urshifu will start tapping that Rayquaza. Always a danger when playing into a Dragonite couple. Kokada with a big push. Tomato right behind. That's a few Defender Unite moves with the Dragon Current with the response. That is Rom down to start this fight.
They've also used the Psychic Soleil, so even if he comes back, he won't have that damage boost. And look at this fuel in the backline, Jong as well. They try to use the Umbreon Unite, but everyone is down anyway. Kokoda coming too late with the disengage. Rayquaza at the mercy of ZORATIGERSGAMING. Zoinks! We're possibly looking at a Game 3 situation. They somehow did it.
I think assuredly, that is what we are looking at. Zora Tigers Gaming with an unbelievable comeback. I mean, built up in that moment around the bottom side of the map earlier on, finds that confidence, finds the momentum, and they take a fantastic team fight. I mean, ZETA Division using a lot of their tank and support Ignite moves to try to get out of an initial engagement. Zora Tigers Gaming able to wait, bait out those moves, and then collapse with a way stronger and a better advantage state team fight. Amazing work from Zora Tigers Gaming.
They were not shaken, they were not moved. They said, guys, it is okay. It's not over till the game is over. All it took was them just to find that one opening, and they did it. Meaning, game number 3, ZETA Division, Zora Tigers Gaming, it could truly go anyone's way, and I think in this final game, we're going to be seeing some cheese. We're going to be seeing an ace. Someone's going home.
So ZETA Division versus Zora Tigers Gaming, this Korea versus Japan matchup is a elimination game as well. And it's going to come down to one final game between these two teams to be the decider. I mean, I got to admit, I do not envy any of those players up on stage right now. The intense decision-making.
Possibly going to be looking at 2 Japanese teams in top 4, or Korea could be standing by these teams' sides. I cannot believe we are getting so deep into this competition. ZETA Division, they have all of Japan supporting them, but for Zora Tigers, they have a lot to prove, and if they can actually win this matchup, I think this team is going to earn a lot more respect from the region than they currently are getting.
Yeah, Chong making that happen early with a nice staff score of 4, getting those attack weight stacks in. They do have to be pretty safe as they retreat back to their side. Chobo did go into the central area to assist Mule with knocking out the wild Pokemon, as well as taking the red buff for themselves. What is this? Tomato on a sneaky play to not only take some
He doesn't get it.
Not find that one, but is going to try to make the retreat happen.
He might go down here, unfortunately, although he might have X speed on him. Tomato, no, he's got the eject, but no, too much damage. The Umbreon Pikachu combination, a little bit too strong with Leafeon here. Maybe Rob could be in trouble, caught back by that foul play, but again, the eject buttons gonna be able to keep Rob alive. Yeah,
that's a lot of early utility use, though, so the next push, they're gonna have to play even safer than the one they are now. Eject button, one of the longest cooldowns of any of your battle items you would equip. Dong does get to the Citrus Berry. Eject button's away. They were pulled by a pretty nasty blaze kick from Pidobo, who's currently busy scoring already at level 6. Mule trying to bring the hurt, though, on the Leafeon, but Pidobo is getting to work. That's a Combuskin, knocking out a Gyarados, and a Wajiro and Kokada are going to be chasing down Ward. What an early start from ZETA.
Oh, big overextension there for Zora Tigers. They thought they were going to be able to get the retreatment punishes, but just too much damage, too much tank there from ZETA Division. And now this is where things are going to start to get a little bit iffy, because ZETA, they're not as weak as they used to be. Jung is here as that Gyarados, but as much as I want to say the Gyarados is going to be able to carry here, we're talking about Vitopa and Kokoda. These guys can make a lot happen, especially when they're lacking resources.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's one of the biggest level deficits that Jung, I think, he's had to work with in this top path so far. Just kind of playing catch-up, matching the level right now, but definitely almost a level behind. Kokada almost at that level 7. John waiting now at 720. We'll have another spawn of the Swablu Altaria, so yet another little objective to battle for, a few mini ones, if you will. And now Chong waiting for a specific target to find. I believe they do have eyes on Pidobo, but it might not be up to them. It might be up to the Leafeon to get that first strike.
Overheat securing most of that, then, oh my gosh, they have to bounce backwards, but hang on a minute, the Leafeon with the Emerald 2-step, they're going to keep going. They don't have an aggressive one, but Tomato has been caught back, and look at this Metang just going into the back, snapping up a berry, but that battle coming at the cost of 2 for 1. Not the trade you're looking for, but hang on a minute, though, Rob is there with the slap shots, but it just didn't connect, unfortunately.
Yeah, ZETA Division making a lot of these plays kind of not haphazardly necessarily, but they really need these stacks. So they're making really bold play calls. If you're going to try to get around this tougher early game while you're waiting to scale, those held items that stack up with your scores will do you a world of favors. ZETA Division does get the Regieleki though, and that's going to give them yet another asset to work on a siege run.
They They don't have that attacker here. Sabine is still camping out in that bottom lane as that Pikachu, so missing out on one source of damage, but they should be able to take out this Aleki for themselves. Meanwhile, though, as Leafeon gets the Metangs, that's going to be a nice knockout, but also gets knocked out in the process, so it does delay the push, gave their team enough time to get rid of that Aleki, and Zeta Division back to just getting those wild Pokemon.
Yeah, a bit of a trade, but in the end, you did knock out that Reggie Aleki from going into your goal zone if you're ZORATIGERS Gaming. On the other hand, Zeta Division able to take out a Leafeon. So, an even trade between these two teams. Zeta Division, though, going to have the first run at Regi since they've already shown up. Tomato going to lock down Mule, but they can't lock down more than one target. Big
my God.
That will be the KO onto Leafeon. So, the speedster of ZORATIGERS Gaming gone already. Thunderstorm from Pikachu, hitting a few targets, but Tomato is not going to go down from just that. Eject one out of the Thunder. Hornleech is back. That's an overheat charge a little too early. Gyarados going to follow up, and Jong will be taking the Regice.
Jong on this. Gyarados doing some major work for ZORATIGERS. Going to continue advancing for the team. Bliss assist to try and get that Blissey out and do damage. But, Rom, he's been jumped on by the Gyarados. They want him so bad. They get him. Now onto that tier 2. A little deep.
ZORATIGERS Gaming with quite a push there. Yeah, you're right. Going to that tier 2 might be a little bit of a too far of a push, but Ward going to be camping out, potentially going to threaten 40 points in the back kill zone near the tier 2, but the Inteleon is there. I believe that will be a stop. 40 points not going in.
Game looking pretty stable. Levels are looking a little lopsided, unfortunately. It's very even across Zeta Division, but ZORATIGERS got to get their supports and defenders to catch up a little bit because they are slightly behind. Thunderstorm, they're going to be committed because we have that Metagross in the front line, losing a lot of health. Kokoda trying to build up all of that shielding, but it's just not enough. Sabine's Pikachu amping out damage. Oh my gosh.
So strong, and it's not even equipping that cursed incense that we see on Pikachu quite a bit. So no anti-heal. Instead, just opting for that energy amplifier and spoon. Ignore some of the defenses and, of course, heal out more Unite moves if you can. Also, the points looking amazing for ZORATIGERS Gaming right now. We have the Leafeon and the top pack.
Oh boy.
Almost there. Gyarados looking for one. John will take out Wajiro, and ZORATIGERS Gaming have taken complete control of the momentum in this game number 3.
Massive lead, lots of experience, lots of points. It's looking fantastic here for ZORATIGERS, but how does Zeta Division make the comeback happen? They're not too far behind. They're not in that code red. They just have to try and figure out, how do we pick apart ZORATIGERS? How do we get into the back line to deal with Sabine? Because if you let him pop that Thunderstorm in the back lines, he just does so much damage that even Tomato is at risk of just being insta-KO'd.
These are all fair questions, but you only got 3 minutes and 30 seconds to answer them, Danley. Right now, it is ZORATIGERS Gaming kind of finding the key to success against Zeta Division up into this point. So much so, Zeta Division might have to abandon ship around this basement Reggie, an objective they've been playing around so much. They're going in for a second shot at it now.
The stun coming out from the Pikachu prevented Zeta from having any of their initiators to jump right in, and even the Metagross wants nothing to do with it, just constantly stun left, right, and center. This Pikachu is a menace.
Pikachu dealing out the damage in the front line. It's also allowing Zhong to be a bit more mobile. Tomato's job on this Trevenant is normally to clear out space for the rest of their damage dealers to work, but right now they just have too many threats to try to take care of, and Zhong has finally found the way to weave around this Trevenant. The bounce is constantly hitting the back line, avoiding those tree stuns, and Zhong's Gyarados is on a whole nother level here in our game number 3.
Zeta Division, I think they have to put all their cards in Tomato now. Tomato's initiation is really going to have to set things up. Try to set up for those snipes. Rom needs to chip this team down before a fight even begins, because that was one of the winning factors for this team in these earlier games. Every time he kept landing those snipe shots, chip them away, until the point where you have multiple Pokemon at half health. That's the ideal time to force a fight. So we have to see if we can have that happen, because at the moment, ZORATIGERS, as soon as a fight is about to happen, they just go. They don't let the picks happen.
ZETA Division doesn't have the defensive ability of that Espeon Psychic Solaire anymore, instead opting for the offensive option with his snipe shot from Inteleon instead. So they're going to have to play this one a bit more aggressively. Kokata checking every tall grass they can. Eventually they find Mule, but they have taken complete top positioning now as they force Leafeon back towards the goal.
This is so difficult. The fact that Mule is there, he's already spotted Kokota, so they can't even go for any stealth missions. They can't go for the backstabs. The vision game for Zora Tigers, it's so on point.
It's great, and Kokata can find a few multiple targets. Let's not forget about Metagross's Compute and Crash Unite move. They've able to lock down a few targets, getting a ton of shielding, and it works so well alongside the Blissey.
Look at the wraparound. We've got the Leafeon looking for the surprise.
Yeah, we do have the Leafeon on the flank. They now have idea where the Inteleon is. Rom does land one big snipe shot, but they got to be constantly aware where that Leafeon is.
He spotted Rom. Leafeon's thinking about it. They spotted him. Mueller's been spotted. They know he's there. Blaziken having to play defense and protect Rom. Such a desperate situation. We do have a low Umbreon on the side of Zora Tigers and things are looking pretty desperate, but ZETA, they're right next to Rayquaza. I think they have to start ripping. Their time is running out.
Exactly. They have to make the play call on the Rayquaza. At this point, they are just down by 200 points with only 40 seconds remaining. Zhong is going to jump in. Dragon Current, they found multiple targets now. Leafeon going to get the engage as well, but the Bliss assistance is going to save Rom just for the moment. Now Leafeon takes out the Blissey first. Watch your route down. Inteleon down. That is Zora Tigers Gaming securing the Rayquaza.
Zora Tigers, they are doing it. They are about to eliminate ZETA Division from the Pokémon Unite World Championships. Who would have thought this was a matchup that people thought it was going to go in favor of ZETA Division?
Zora Tigers Gaming. And I feel like for the first time within our top 8, we truly have an upset. ZETA Division, first place at the Asia Champions League, second place at the Aeros Cup, second place at their regional championships, but they have been defeated by Zora Tigers Gaming from Korea.
They look like they're in disbelief.